Welcome to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Join Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
Hey there. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. I am Pam Perry, host of Get Out There and Get Known podcast. You can also go to pamperrypodcast.com and get the show notes from today as well, because we're going to have a guest that's going to drop a lot of information. So you may want to go get the show notes later. But we're going to talk today with Sharrarne Morton, who we're talking all things media. I'll read you the formal bio. She is in this month's Speaker Magazine, the March issue of Speakers Magazine. You can read it for free, speakersmagazine.net. I happen to have the hard copy because you can get that as well. But Sharrane Morton is an executive producer and on-air host with SiriusXM Radio Channel 141 or I guess you say HUR Voices. And
right.
For those of you all who don't know what HUR stands for, it stands for Howard University Radio.
Right.
Right. And we happen to have another AKA in the office that and then she also Sharrane also goes to AKA as well. Yeah. She hosts two national shows, The Small Business Report, which is where I met her. She booked a client, had an interview with Nicole Roberts-Jones, did an excellent job, her and Carl. Yeah. And I was on the show as well, so that was really cool, which highlights business growth and development in the U.S. And she also hosts the show Skin Deep, which focuses on the health and wellness in communities of color. For many years, Sharrane was a regular guest commentator on ABC News affiliate NBC, called
ABC.
Did I say NBC?
Yeah.
That's gotta get those stations right.
Right.
NBC,
right.
Called News Talk, where she offered her views on local, national, and international news. And additionally, she has and continues to serve as a speaker and mistress of ceremonies for many organizations.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that in the podcast as well. As a businesswoman, Sharrane is CEO of Morton Media. So we're going to talk all things media because that's her love, and also a media training and public relations firm that helps businesses, of course, that's what she does, build their brand by placing them on TV and radio. Morton Media produces both SiriusXM radio shows, so she does that as well. But she was formerly an adjunct college professor where she taught English and journalism, of course, for almost a couple of decades. She's a mother of two adult daughters and is a member of AKA
Alpha.
Yes. So that is so cool. So I'm going to jump over here to our LinkedIn family and just kind of say hi to those folks over there, because LinkedIn loves doing our LinkedIn lives. And so we usually have some people over there as well. So I will pull up over there. So one of the main things too, Sharrane, is that your career for 16 years, you said you taught as an adjunct professor, but really give us the backstory of where the love for media started and how it started in now.
Well, it started when I was a little girl. I always knew I wanted to be a journalist. So I used to practice in front of the mirror with a hairbrush, or I'd pretend to interview my little brother, for interviews. So, and then in high school, I was one of the newspaper editors. Went on to college. I had a radio show. I was the host of a radio show in college. And so, I just kind of followed my passion. My major was journalism. And I just always knew it's what I wanted to do. I was fortunate enough to continue along my path and, get into have a lot of opportunities to expand my craft in journalism. So, I dabbled in politics for a little while, lost, but then got an opportunity. I was asked to come on this ABC News affiliate to commentate just one time. The Iraq War was breaking out, and they just wanted me to come in and commentate. And I was the only woman and the only person of color on the panel. but we had such great chemistry. So they asked me to come again and again and again. And it just turned into being 14 years coming on this show, commentating. So while I was doing that, I started Morton Media, you know, and mortonmediatv.com, by the way, and was able to teach other people, you know, how to present on television, how to speak, how to get on certain platforms, how to get interviews. And then my good friend Carl got an opportunity to do the Small Business Report on SiriusXM Radio, HUR Voices, and he asked if I would produce it and co-host. So it has just been wonderful. It has just been, I've just been so blessed.
Yes. So TV, so you started in high school. You were doing high school journalism way back then. And then what college did you go to? Was it Howard?
No, I went to Rutgers. My mother and my grandmother went to Howard. And I said, I don't want to, you know, I was born and raised in DC. I was like, I don't want to stay in DC. I want to go away. So I went to Rutgers in New Jersey and majored in journalism and just went from there.
And then from there, you really became, you said politics. So the type of journalism that you like really, well, obviously being in DC.
Right.
You grew up with it. So
yeah, I fell into politics. Don't ask me how, it's a long story, but I fell into it, ran for office, lost by just a very little, almost won. I was very young at the time. And you know, when you're young, you just feel like you can do anything. You're invincible. And after that, I made so many connections and networked with so many people and, you know, got to know so many people that, you know, one of those people got a phone call from the ABC News affiliate and said, hey, we're looking for a commentator. And he said, oh, I know just the person. And he referred me. So I just did a networking event for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C. And that is my story. It's been all about networking. Every single opportunity I've ever had, every single job I've ever had has come as a result of knowing someone, of networking. So I just want to let everybody know that that's extremely important. Yeah. People, they love or will work with people they know and trust. So, yeah.
And one of the things too, just so that you were in Speakers Magazine, so you're available to speak and you do speak on business topics, but you also, one of the key things you speak on is networking.
Yes.
I think being journalism, because I was a journalism major too, journalists are curious.
Right.
They like people. Public relations, obviously you're relating to the public, but networking, explain to people why networking is important, especially for authors and speakers that want to get out there and get known. And that, you know, I speak, so people should call me. So explain like maybe how networking, besides jobs, how people can really get out there and get known using media, and then how they can network for other speaking engagements and things like that. Because I think you got a book in you about that. So
yeah, I do. You're pulling it out of me too, Pam. And thank you again. I didn't even thank you for having me here on Get Out There and Get Known. I'm so happy to be on this podcast.
You are like the one. And so you have another soror that just jumped on. She happens to, her name is Ashley Goodwin. Say, hey, Ashley.
Hey, soror. Hey.
Yes. She's, I want to say Ohio. What was that? Bowling Green. So she's
Bowling Green. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So Ashley Goodwin is there. And I know that because her mother is also an AKA. An AKA. I mean, it was like you had to be that. So they're in that thing. And then like a family. I wore a little bit of pink today.
I see. I love it.
I love it. I love you guys. So she happens to work for LinkedIn as well. So
okay, Ashley, yeah. So I have to say that networking is extremely important if you want to get in front of people and start speaking. I was fortunate in that when I was, you know, on television for all those years, people reached out to me. They were always calling me and asking me to come speak or come be a mistress of ceremonies or speak, you know, to kids, you know, so I was very fortunate. But every single person that I came across, I tried to make certain that I made a connection with them. And if we had a lot in common, you know, I wanted it to be a long-term relationship, not just a one-off. What can you do for me? A lot of times it's what can I do for you? How can I serve you? You know, like for instance, my show, I will invite, great people like you, and Nicole Roberts Jones and so many other people, because I know you're doing so much to help people. And people need to know what you do, what you can do to help them. So it's all about who you know. That really gets your foot inside the door. Now, of course, it's what you know that keeps you in the door, but who you know will get you so many places if people like you and trust you and know that you have a good work ethic. So I tell my kids all the time, make connections, get out there, talk to people, shake hands. Well, maybe not, in this COVID environment, it's a virtual environment, of course, but especially when we get back to post-COVID, you got to get out there. You got to smile. You got to shake hands. You got to let people know that you're here. Otherwise, they won't know.
So one of the questions I want to ask, and it has to do with really your show. So you've got the Small Business Report,
right?
One of the only business show. The only business show that is African American.
That's right. On SiriusXM. That's right.
And then the other one, Skin Deep. So tell us about the premise of both of those. And then if someone were to pitch you, what would be the best way to really pitch you an idea for either show?
Being a guest on the show, right? Yeah. So Carl Brown, my mentor and good friend, we always joke and say we've known each other for 100 years. He's the executive director of the DC Small Business Development Center. And he had just taken over the center as the executive director, and he wanted to promote the center and get it known and get it out there and let small business owners know that they were there to help. And so he went down to his office is actually on the campus of Howard University, and Howard University has the #1 radio station in the DC metro area. It's WHUR, and they've been around, oh gosh, even when I was a little girl, I used to listen. They started what's known now as the Quiet Storm. They were the originators. And so Carl walked down to the station and said, hey guys, is there a way that you can do a PSA, a public service announcement for for the agency so that we can get the word out? And when he explained what he does, they said, oh, not only can we give you a PSA, we want to give you a show, a radio show. And Carl, so he walked in thinking he was going to get a 60-second public service announcement, and he walked out with a half-hour SiriusXM radio show.
I love the power of Black radio.
Right.
The power of Black radio. I mean, you could not have done that in
another. Right.
No. But that is why we have Black radio, Black media,
Black press,
newspapers,
that's right.
Black magazines.
That's right.
Those are so anyway, go on. I love that. He has his whole show. And
he has a whole show. No, he hadn't done radio. He and I had done television. I produced a TV show for him years ago, but no, he hadn't done radio. And so he called me. He was like, Sharrane, you'll never believe it. And he said, can you produce the show for me? And I was like, yeah, of course. And he was like, what about being the co-host? I'm like, okay, sure. So I had a week to turn around to produce a whole show. And this was an opportunity of a lifetime. Talk about networking. It was who I knew. Carl had known me. We'd worked together before. And so he called on me to help him with the show. And so after about a year, I mean, everybody loved us. They turned the show into an hour-long show. And so then about another year went past. And so I pitched the station my Skin Deep show. I said, we need to have a show that talks about, health and wellness. And that means financial health and wellness, mental health and wellness, all of those things in the Black community. And they said, that's a great idea. And so they greenlit my second show, Skin Deep. So I was just very blessed. I was in the right place at the right time, but it was who I knew. And so that's how we got the shows. Now, in terms of booking a show, getting on a show, I mean, you definitely need to know people like Pam who can help you with that. And a lot of times, like we just had a contest, the Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, they did a contest along with me. I said, hey, let's look at these women business owners who were joining in on this webinar. this networking webinar. Let's ask them to participate in a contest, and the best 2 businesses can come on and be guests on the show, promote their show nationwide. Promote their business nationwide. The chamber thought it was a great idea. So me and 2 other folks, one from the chamber, one from the DC Women's Business Center, we, had the participants, which there were 300 registrants for the webinar that I did for the chamber the other day.
That's pretty big.
Oh, that was big.
For being, everybody's at the computer all day, right?
Yes,
so that's a large
turnout. We were so happy about that. And so out of those 300, we had over a dozen women business owners to submit videos on why they should be on the Small Business Report. Of course, we looked at their websites as well. And so we picked our winners yesterday. And so they'll be coming on the show in April. But it's just good you can go to our website, thesmallbusinessreport.biz, and submit your information about why you should be on the show. We always follow up with folks that reach out to us. And you can email me at srfmorton@gmail.com. And you can go to mortonmediatv.com as well. But we're always on the lookout for, business owners who are really working hard to get to that next level. And we're willing to help them by promoting them on our show.
I love that. I love that. And then the Skin Deep. Now, how long ago did you come up with that idea?
I came up with that idea 2 years ago, and because I have a beauty line, an e-commerce store called skindeepbeautystore.com. I'm sorry, I'm shameless plug, but
no, that I needed to know that. It's like, well, why is it? This was like, everybody's talking about skin color and
yes,
colorism and George Floyd, the whole Black Lives Matter. So you were really talking about Skin Deep before all of that,
right? I was developing products for women of color. That were organic and vegan based. And it's because what you put on your body, on your skin, is just as important as what you put in your body. And so I said, I started the e-commerce store, skindeepbeautystore.com, and everything in the store is organic and vegan. And I said, I need to talk about this, to a broader audience about the importance of eating well, eating clean as often as you can, especially in the Black community. There's so many food deserts where people don't have access to fruits and vegetables, or if they do, they're very expensive. Even for middle-class people, fruits and vegetables are expensive.
That's true.
I wanted to talk about the importance of, using good and clean products. And so I started skindeepbeautystore.com, and then I pitched the Skin Deep show, and they almost started in conjunction. So I was really happy about that.
Oh, that is good. Yeah. Detroit has a lip bar. And Butler.
I like her.
Yes, I like her too. She is vegan, the vegan lip thing. And it was really like one of the things where she had a career doing something else. I think it was on Wall Street. And she wanted to do this whole thing because her main thing was about beauty. And then people weren't really thinking Black women were beautiful.
Right.
Really just talk about that whole thing about Black women beauty. So, it has different shades or whatever. So she did that. So I like that. So if there are people who want to talk about health and wellness, then they would be a good fit for the Skin Deep show as well.
Definitely. Yeah, we do. We have doctors that come on. We have people that are vegan that come on. We even talk about sex. You remember Salt and Pepper? Let's talk about sex, baby.
Yes.
We talk about that because that's part of your health and wellness. We talk about, sleep deprivation. Especially during COVID.
COVID babies lately.
I know.
I've been noticing on Instagram. I said that Graham is just doing a lot of baby reviews.
Right. What else is there to do? So.
I'm past that stage. My daughter's 25, but it's just like, I'm like, woo, this is a baby boom, like it was back in 1960 or so. I said, okay, this is the new baby boom, the COVID baby. So it's like,
So if people are interested in reaching out to be on the Skin Deep show, they can reach out to me via email as well, srfmorton@gmail.com. And if they know you, Pam, you pick up the phone and give me a call, and so That's
Thank you.
that's networking, right?
That is networking. It really is.
Yeah.
A lot of the clients that I place on different shows or different magazines and things like that is because either one, I went to school with them. I used to work
Right.
for the press, NABJ, which is, National Association of Black Journalists. I met them there. So it's a lot of different ways where you're networking, but I have to know what they're about. They have to know what I'm about.
Right. They have to have a good, legitimate, concrete business, or, be an expert in their field or something. You just can't come on willy-nilly. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's one of the things. So talk about the media training that you do. You do a little bit of media training and you do a little bit of helping people with their brands. So give us some ideas if someone were to go to mortonmedia.tv,
mortonmediatv.com. Yeah.
I saw that just as soon as I said, I was like, it's mortonmedia.com, that you will help them in terms of, one, their branding, and to explain to them why that's important, explain to them in terms of media coaching or training, what a person needs to do in order to show today.
So for a lot of years, I worked with different companies like Comcast, and I produced commercials for them, for their clients who wanted to get more exposure in the, in the media and be on huge networks like, CNN or Fox or MSNBC or OWN or BET. Like there's over 50 networks that, of course, air commercials. And even when you're streaming shows on Netflix or Hulu or something, they stop for the ads. And so my company, mortonmediatv.com, was producing commercials for these clients. And a lot of them didn't know what to do, how to present themselves, because many of them wanted to be in their own commercial. They didn't want to either hire an actor or actress. They wanted the audience to see them as the face of their business. But a lot of them didn't really, say, for instance, I did commercials for dentists. And, they're not accustomed to being on television. So a lot of times I'd have to throw in a little training session. How do you speak? How do you come across? How do you enunciate? How should you look in the camera? How not to be intimidated? What to wear? Sometimes I'd have a hair and makeup person on set for the women, for the ladies, because a lot of times they didn't know how to do their hair and makeup. So that goes to the media training part, how to present yourself in any situation, on a stage, in front of people. A lot of people are shy. And so on television, when I first went on television, I didn't realize there were millions of people watching. And so it took me a couple of times to get over the nerves. And so I teach people, what to do to get past those nerves. Once they get on television, I show them how to get on television or how to get their business on TV, how to get on those major networks for commercials. And so that's the media training part. What was the second part of your question?
I love that. So you talked about branding. So really part of that was the branding, having that whole total look, you help the brand, making sure their websites are correct, making sure their hair and makeup, making sure they dress correct. Everything that you do when you're in contact with the public is part of your brand. It's a touch point.
It really is. You really are a billboard, a walking billboard for your brand. People don't realize that, the way you go out and present yourself, that's what people remember. People remember how you treat them, number one, and then they also remember your presentation. And so it's really important that people know how to present well, because the world treats you based on the way you present to them. We call it the persona, your persona. And so I did a lot of training for especially small business owners on how to present well, because otherwise people are not going to buy your product or service if you don't present well, if you don't come across well, right?
That's true. It's one of the things that when my daughter was in high school, so she was trying to figure out what she wanted to do or whatever, she ended up going in digital marketing. But I said, no matter what you do, please learn how to speak well.
That's right.
No matter what you do. I said, you can be a surgeon, but you're still going to have to present well. I mean, at a conference one day or whatever. I said, because people who speak well are really perceived as being a little bit more confident and more intelligent. I said, so please, I said, even get in a debate club.
Right. Toastmasters.
Toastmasters, right. I said, speaking is everything. And she was like, okay. Well, she ended up doing some speeches when she was in high school with the Optimist Club. And
Okay.
she won them because, you know, practice makes perfect, but she's not a
Right.
speaker. But it helps when she's an account executive at an ad agency. I said, but
Wow.
you have to speak now, right? You have to show up on Zoom. That's where they work now. Show up on Zoom, speaking well and looking the part. So that is so important. It's
It's
an
really,
overall
yeah.
branding of that.
Yeah.
And so
And for people of color, especially, we
Yeah.
have to know how to speak well. And I used to teach that in class. It was like the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You're one way in a professional setting, which, you know, means you should know how to speak well and enunciate. But when you're around your friends and your family, then, you know, you can speak the way you want. Unfortunately, as people of color, we have to know how to turn it on and turn it off because we are already judged by our skin color. But, you know, if you don't speak well, then that's unfortunately another mark against you.
Yeah,
Another
I always
strike.
tell people, I said, Black people are bilingual anyway.
Yes, we are.
We speak at the family union one way, and then we speak at work another way. It's like it's bilingual.
So right.
Like,
So
yeah. So are you bilingual? Yeah, I am. Always have been. So, you know, I speak different way around Big Mom and them than I do when I'm doing this podcast. So it is different. But I really appreciate you sharing. And there's a free gift, I think, Sharrane, that you have at Morton
MediaTV.com
that people can get, or is it?
Well, yeah, if people go to MortonMediaTV.com, you know, they can sign up for my training, but then they can also sign up to have a personal one-on-one session with me, where I, you know, tell them, you know, how to get on these major networks. I also give them access to names and phone numbers and contact people at these major networks. So yeah, it's not free, but it's an opportunity to get or to have access at for pennies, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I always tell people in the Ready, Set, Go Speak program, that, you know, you don't have to, you need to stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
That's
so
right.
Ready, Set, Go Speak program, it's like, what are the things that people need in order to present themselves on the major networks? And part of it is the brand building. Part of it is the tools that you teach probably as well, you know, whether they need a website, they need footage, they need a one sheet, whatever. They need to have a well-written bio like you have. They need good photos, you know, things like that are part of it, so that when they do call, you don't have to scramble and they say send a bio and it's like,
That's right. And to be on our shows, you know, either of the radio shows, we do want you to have a bio. Although radio is better because, you know, you don't need to have your hair and makeup, you know, done for radio. Right. But we do ask for a bio, and we do want to see a good website. Yeah, we want to make sure that you're credible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. That is it. The media doesn't give you credibility.
Right.
You have the credibility, and then the media will highlight you.
Exactly.
That's the thing that people don't understand. It's like, all I need to do is just get on such and such show and I'll be set. It's like, no, you realize that they already there's certain criteria that you have to do. And so I teach that in the Ready, Set, Go Speak, because most people think they're more ready than they are, because it looks real natural that we're talking, and, you know, but they don't realize that you spent 2 decades or more, you know, doing what you're doing. Journalism, writing is key.
Writing is very key. And to be honest, I remember the television stations used to always say that they were always looking for good writers. It was so hard to find good writers. And my daughter just got a fantastic writing job, paying a great amount of money because she can write. So I'm so excited about that. You're right.
That is so key. I tell people, I said, if you can write, it is really the skill that we write everything. Emails to content on websites. I mean, you're writing your pitch, you're writing your writing is so key. So journalism training, even if you don't go into journalism, if you want to go into PR, training is good, because you need to write.
That's
you
right.
need to match who you're going to pitch, so that writing needs to match that.
That's right.
That is really, really key. So is there anything else that you'd like to add? We're going to really go with our outro out here, but I want people to go to Morton TV.
MortonMediaTV.com.
Dyslexia here.
MortonMediaTV.com. Right. Yeah.
And free training as well.
And sign up, you know, to have a one-on-one with me to train. It's not free, but it's very, very, it's pennies on the dollar. And I will definitely show you how you can get in front of those big networks and get your brand out there. It's really important. Yeah.
That is it. That is it. Well, that is why I'd love to have you on. And that was it, because as African Americans, we need to band together. And so a lot of times we don't know what we don't know, and we're here to help.
And you've been such a great help, Pam. I mean, like you said, I've been in the business over 2 decades, but still you're helping me. You're never too old to learn, and there's always room for improvement. So, you know, you've done so much for so many people in the community. So I applaud you. Thank you.
Thank you. And so you are from Rutgers. There was a person, I don't know if you knew them, Alfred. Was it Alfred Edmonds? Did he go to Rutgers? He was at Black Enterprise.
I don't know. I don't know if we went during the same year, and I don't want to tell when I went, because that'll really tell.
Alfred turned 60 this year.
Okay, no, he didn't go.
He was probably way
behind.
But he went to Rutgers, so he was a person that I know. And then he stayed. His first job was really at Black Enterprise, and he stayed for over 30 years.
Yeah, I know quite a few people. And Carl's really good friends with the Black Enterprise publisher, Earl Graves Jr.
Butch.
Yeah, Butch. Yeah, he's been on the show, as a matter of fact. He's been on our SiriusXM Radio show.
So,
we've had everybody on the show, celebrities, business owners, everybody.
And that's one of the things that the power of Black media and Black radio is that we do. It's a small circle of people. Like you said, Black Enterprise, Butch, and Carl, that we all know each other. So I want people to know, if you notice the colors are red, black, and green, even though this is not like a Black podcast, but I really want people to reach out to Black media, to support Black media. Not just Speakers Magazine, but there's a lot. And the more we support them, the more they can survive.
Support us. And it's a two-way street, right? And we want them to survive and thrive because they are our voices.
Yes. Yeah. That's it. That is it. Well, thank you so much, Sharrane,
for
joining us today. And just know that go to Pam Perry Podcast. You'll see the show notes and everything, and all the links that she mentioned. If we said them too fast or I messed up, they'll be in the show notes so that you can just click it and get it, and then actually have a session with her. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Pam.
All righty.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch in order to be considered in media places or superstar stages. PamPerryPR.com, where you help you shine like a superstar.